Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, CTV as Performance Marketing, a tale of two B2B case studies. My name is Kelly Lenzenau, Demand Gen Report's Senior Managing Editor, and I'm your moderator for today's session. I'm so excited you all joined us today, but before we kick things off, I have a few housekeeping slides to go over first. So, for those of you who may be new to Demand Gen Report, we are an online media company publishing daily news, a weekly email newsletter, special reports, original research, and resources. If you haven't done so already, join more than 75,000 subscribers to our weekly newsletter by subscribing to demandgenreport.com today. During and after today's session, please follow along and share your thoughts and feedback on Twitter and LinkedIn. All of our links and handles are right here on your screen. And now, for more expert insights, be sure to subscribe to our B2B MX podcast. I co-host the pod with DGR's editor, Claudia Tirico, and we offer all the B2B insights you could ever want. We release new episodes on Wednesday mornings that feature exclusive interviews with some of marketing's best minds and session replays from our B2B MX and SMX events. Insights from the B2B MX stage to your ears. So make sure to tune in for the season premiere of Season 7, which airs on October 19th. In the meantime, you can catch up on previous seasons so you're in the loop. We're available on your podcast player of choice. And now, today's presentation is taking place in the On24 platform. Throughout the session, you can access all the information you need from the toolbar you see on your screen. We encourage you to ask our presenters questions. To do so, simply click the Q&A widget at the top right corner of the screen. Today's presentation is slated to run about 25 to 35 minutes, with 10 to 15 minutes for a Q&A following the session. You can submit your questions using this Q&A widget at any time. And then right below that Q&A widget, you will find some additional resources we've made available for you. In addition to joining the conversation online and submitting your questions, we also welcome you to let us know how we're doing. We put together a very brief survey that will automatically launch once this webinar session ends. You can also pull up, complete, and submit the survey at any time during this webinar by clicking on the survey icon circled here on the bottom of your screen. Before signing off today, please take a moment to complete this quick questionnaire so we can continue to enhance our events to your liking. Finally, we are recording today's session, and all attendees will receive an archive link to the presentation that you can go back and share and review, or just share it with your colleagues. So now I am pleased to introduce our featured speakers for today, Haeri and Hooman Javidan-Nejad. Ali leads all marketing and communications effort at Mountain. Ali is also an instructor at UCLA Extension, teaching marketing and advertising courses in the Business and Management Certification Program. Previously, Ali served as Principal Product Designer at Symantec, working on Norton Security line of consumer software. Prior to Symantec, Ali oversaw digital marketing for the Digital Media Services division of Verizon. Hooman leads all demand generation and performance marketing efforts at Mountain. Previously, Hooman served as Director of International Business Development at GIG, working directly with the CEO of the group on global expansion strategies. Prior to GIG, Hooman oversaw business strategy development and execution for multiple financial services and technology companies. So it is clear that we're in great hands today. With that, I'm going to pass things over to Ali to get us started.
Great, thank you so much. Big shout out to Demand Gen Report. We are certainly big fans over at Mountain, and we participate in all the events just because we're not just presenters, we're readers too. So we're really excited for the opportunity to join you all today. And what we're going to talk about is CTV as a performance marketing channel for B2B, but we're specifically going to do it by way of a couple of case studies. I think for B2B marketers, it's important to see how other people have kind of done it, especially for a new performance channel like this. And so that's precisely what we'll do today. Again, my name is Haeri, and I'm also joined by my colleague Hooman, and we're your peers here. We are both B2B marketers, and we want to sort of be perceived that way too, as everybody else here is, testing out new channels, trying to hit demand gen goals and everything else that comes with the life of a B2B marketer. We live that reality ourselves. So as you ask your questions, just know that you're kind of asking questions of your peers. In terms of today's takeaway, again, we're going to be talking about television as a performance marketing channel for B2B, which may not seem so intuitively obvious. And we'll get into why that may not be the case anymore. But that's precisely what we'll talk about today, and why it's a viable channel for B2B marketers. But as I said before, we'll do this in the context of real success stories of advertisers that have used the Mountain platform to reach their B2B audiences. And so we'll talk about, first is, I'll set the table a little bit in terms of why CTV is actually a great channel for B2B. And then I'll throw it over to Hooman, and Hooman will walk us through a couple of case studies. One with Bolt, which is a really interesting technology company that focuses on the checkout process, checkout experience of e-commerce websites. And then we'll also take a look at Built-in, which has a really interesting use case as a sort of two-sided marketplace. And then finally, we'll talk about some learnings. Digging right in, going back to this major theme of this presentation, TV is the next performance marketing channel, not just for B2B, both B2B and B2C. Now, narrowing just to B2B in the context of this conversation, there's a good reason why B2B marketers haven't used linear TV advertising or traditional broadcast TV advertising. Historically, it was incredibly cost prohibitive. The targeting was way, way, way too broad, and it was just immeasurable. And that's why it's always been an important channel for brand marketers, specifically in the case of consumer products that have wide target audiences. That's the reason why thematically you see that sort of advertising on television typically. But connected TV kind of changes the game here, being that it's programmatic advertising fundamentally. It's a different ballgame for advertisers, and it just so happens that when connected TV can be operated as a performance marketing channel, as Mountain sort of presents it, it creates a perfect opportunity for B2B marketers. A lot of those issues that I sort of outlined with linear TV advertising are non-issues in the case of connected TV. So starting with audience targeting. In the linear world, you're targeting based off of TV network and program, which is a really, really broad way to try to get your message in front of your target audience. The alternative with connected TV is precision targeting. I'm speaking to B2B marketers. You're all familiar with what audience targeting looks like on other digital platforms, same way that you're doing it on paid social, for example. It's that same experience here. So rather than trying to find content that aligns with your target audience, here you're just finding the audience segment that already exists. And we're talking about in-market audience segments, affinity audience segments aligned by title or seniority. You can just neatly target those audiences with your TV advertising. In terms of measurement, that's a prerequisite for any channel for B2B marketers, is something that's very measurable. And in the case of CTV, you may also think, I get that it's digital, but still, you're talking about a television impression. How does that carry over to actual website actions? And the good news here is that that technology has been figured out. A platform like Mountain has a cross-device attribution technology built into it that allows you to sort of track the user from TV impression through to website action. So you can track things like website visits and conversions, stemming all the way back to an impression that was served into the household. So again, this is another non-issue in the realm of TV advertising for B2B. And finally, video creative. You're going to need a commercial if you want to advertise on television. And so there's a variety of solutions here that don't necessarily break the bank. For some of you, you probably already do some video advertising, in which case you're sitting on some video assets that can be used on connected television. And for others that don't even have that, fear not. You don't need to get into really expensive engagement with a creative agency to produce that asset to be able to run on TV. there's a lot of great solutions available to you these days that really accommodate you and get you an asset really quickly, far quicker than you think. And it's probably a lot more inexpensive than you think as well. And that's something that we can certainly talk about today. And so CTV kind of offers it all. And, you know, just looking at some of the values of connected television compared to other channels, just looking at cost, that's a big one. When we're considering cost, that's probably the biggest hurdle for B2B advertisers. I mean, we're not even considering the targeting issue. I think the first thing that people think of is probably cost. It's just incredibly expensive for something that's so hard to track. Again, in the case of CTV, with that precision targeting and real-time measurement, again, this experientially should feel like every other performance marketing channel that you're already using from a data collection standpoint, campaign setup standpoint, all of that. And so it actually presents this sort of pay-as-you-go style approach to advertising that you're obviously not getting with these long-term, very large upfront commitments to do linear TV advertising. The other consideration here too, which is quite important actually, is how you position your brand. Everybody in B2B marketing uses the same playbook. We all do. We're not above it. You know, we do that at Mountain as well. We are heavy duty paid search advertisers, LinkedIn advertisers. We create guides and ebooks and reports and whatnot. We all do it. But what are you doing to differentiate your, you know, brand and the way you market that brand from your competitors? And one way to certainly do that is in your channel mix. And right now, as a B2B advertiser, CTV is a fantastic platform because you have a lot of space. Still a bit of a nascent stage in terms of really inviting B2B advertisers. So if you just simply want to create that distance from other B2B brands, you have a lot of that space while also capitalizing on the prestige of simply being on television. So it's a highly, highly differentiated channel as an advertiser. Now, you don't need to take our word for it. Everything that I mentioned here, as much as I don't want it to sound that way, it certainly sounds a little bit salesy, probably because it's almost too good to be true. But what we want to kind of talk about next is, let's look at some real B2B brands that you're already familiar with that use a platform like ours to use it to reach their sort of B2B marketing goals. Don't just take our word for it. Let's go ahead and take a look at some examples, some real examples, and success metrics of these brands that are using the platform. And with that, I'll pass it over to Hooman.
Thanks, Ali. Really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to co-present with you, and especially in situations like this when we're in conversation with B2B marketing community. Today, what we're going to do, as Ali mentioned, is going to go over two case studies so you can see for yourself how these two brands have been able to leverage streaming TV advertising using Mountain Platform Performance TV to drive measurable performance. Well, I myself, as a B2B marketer, have been craving for some good B2B case studies in streaming TV. I haven't found anything in the past. And honestly, that's how I learned, by just consuming a lot of what other successful B2B companies are doing, what channels, what type of campaigns, digital marketing tactics are working for them. So we hope you find these case studies helpful, valuable, and you feel inspired after looking at these two case studies. And we hope we leave you with some learnings and actionable items that you can take back and implement for your marketing efforts. So the first one that we're going to look at is for Bolt, the company that a lot of you are familiar with. Bolt is a checkout operating system software. They're calling themselves a one-click checkout software. And what they were trying to do was to break this B2B marketing mold and create something radically different than what B2B marketing is doing today as part of their like digital marketing approach. So their goal was to create something eye-catching and different. And so they signed up for CAS, Creative as a Subscription. So Creative as a Subscription, or CAS, is a kind of a package or a service that Mountain provides today for its clients that are live on Mountain Performance TV, and their spend is at a certain threshold. We offer them Creative as part of their media spend. And this enables those brands to just focus on their things that matters the most, like audience targeting, structuring their campaigns the right way that they have to do, looking at the performance of their campaigns, and some of the optimizations that they need to take in terms of making changes to the audiences, and or focusing on the other aspects of the campaign. So we take the hassle of creative creation out of the way with CAS offering. So I am gonna play the creative that was created for Bolt as part of CAS service, as part of Creative as a Subscription. We're going to look at that creative spot, and then we're going to look at some of the results.
Today, 70% of all online shopping carts are abandoned at the checkout page, victims of a cruel and exhausting checkout process. Hi, I'm Sarah McLaughlin. Please say you'll be the answer to an innocent cart whose dreams are crushed by questions like, is your billing address the same as your home address? Mailing address, shipping address, email address, confirm email address, CVV. Your actions can help give a cart warmth and care. Oh, that is a nice blender. Go to Bolt.com and see the difference one-click shopping can make to millions of carts.
Go to Bolt.com to experience one-click shopping on any site. Please come on, we got Sarah and McLaughlin, oh.
Awesome. So every time I watch this, like this is a creative that I've watched over and over. This is a type of creative that you want to watch multiple times. It's very emotional and also funny at the same time. And every time I watch it, and I feel I'm kind of touched and moved, and I want to do something with Bolt, although I don't have any e-commerce business to do anything with Bolt, but I feel connected to the Bolt as a brand. So they both definitely nailed their campaign. And obviously Mountain was a max effort team as part of the Mountain umbrella, was a team that came up with the creative, and I think they did an amazing job. And this is a great example of looking at what a perfect B2B creative can be. Because B2B creative is usually boring. It's usually download this piece of white paper or look at this guide, and that's what everybody does. But it doesn't have to be that way. I think that's what a B2B misses, and that's what a lot of B2C brands do a good job. They B2C brands often, the good ones, come up with really emotional video creatives that creates a kind of emotional connection with the customers. B2B brands usually go towards the other route. They think that they need to be rational. But at the end of the day, we are all human. Whether we are working for a company as a B2B or as a B2C, we are human, and our emotions are involved when we are making a purchase decisions, regardless of being a B2C or B2B. Now let's look at some of the results. First, let's look at the results of this campaign on performance TV compared to the other performance channels, LinkedIn and paid search, the two true and tested performance marketing channel that B2B already love, LinkedIn and Google paid search. So this campaign on Mountain Performance TV drove 67.5 times higher conversion rate compared to LinkedIn. So whatever conversion rate Bolt had on LinkedIn, this campaign drove 67.5 times higher conversion rate. That is impressive. Looking at conversion rate compared to paid search, it's just below 3.5. So this campaign drove just below 3.5 higher conversion rate compared to their paid search. Looking at some other metrics comparing to Facebook and Twitter, this campaign drove 5 times higher time on site. And this is what Ali was talking about in terms of measurability. You're able to measure performance of your campaign, and you're able to compare that to the other digital channels. And compared to Facebook and Twitter, compared to both of these channels, time on a spend for visits, for websites visit driven from this CTV campaign has been 5 times higher. 5 times higher time on site, if I look at it as a digital marketer, tells me 2 things. It tells me that, first of all, those audiences were engaged with the creative, so they care about to make a visit. And it means the audience targeting was really spot on, because they weren't just curious to check out the Bolt and see what they do and leave the website. They were curious enough to make a visit and also do something with the Bolt. So they took their time on the website to learn a little bit more, to dig a little bit more about the product, and potentially become a customer for Bolt. So what really worked in terms of this campaign for Bolt, first of all, it was creative. And when B2B marketers think about video creative, and maybe they think that as the first barrier to launch a streaming TV campaign, is that they say, well, I don't have a good video creative to launch on TV. First of all, it doesn't need to be a high production creative ad. You can repurpose whatever video creative your social team is already using across the other channels. So take a look at that. You might be more ready than you think for launching your streaming TV campaign. The video asset that you already have and you're using them and leveraging them on the other social channels might work perfectly fine on a streaming TV. You can just repurpose them. And also there are some non-agency solutions. So in the past, companies, they had to go through the video creative agencies, and then they had to work with the media agencies. And it was just a lot of money and time wasted to get to the point to launch the campaign. And after that, you will not even able to measure the results. Today, there are some non-agency solutions for creative. For example, QuickFrame is a video production marketplace. Think of it as Uber or Airbnb, but for video production. It's a marketplace. As a marketer, advertiser, you go in, you submit your project, your video creative needs, and you're going to receive bids. And the QuickFrame is going to facilitate this transaction and delivery of your video creative. It's very easy to use, and it makes it very accessible and affordable for brands of all size, whatever video creative that they need. And the other piece that was related to the success of this campaign was the measurability of their CTV campaign. They were able to quickly launch their CTV campaign and immediately see the results in Google Analytics alongside their other digital channels. Like all those metrics that I mentioned about time on site compared to Facebook, Twitter, they were able to see Mountain Performance TV as source and medium in Google Analytics and quickly compare that against the other digital marketing channels. Let's move on to our second case study here. The second case study is about Built-in. It's a job hunting website. It has two sides. One side, it's B2B HR professionals that they are looking for talent. They want to hire people. And the other side of this platform, this website, is job seekers. So it's a two-sided platform. One side is B2B HR professional. The other side is B2C. And so that's what they were trying to accomplish. They were trying to reach out to HR professionals and job seekers. Those were their audiences that they were trying to target. And Mountain's Performance TV's integration with Oracle Data Cloud as the world's largest data provider enabled them to be to reach to those audiences, because there are hundreds of thousands of third-party audiences that you can build based on job title, based on the job function, company size, whatever criteria that you're using today on LinkedIn or other digital marketing channels to reach your B2B or B2C audience. That's possible with that Oracle Data Cloud integration. And lastly, what they were trying to achieve was that they had certain KPIs, certain marketing KPIs that they were trying to optimize against. CPA, cost per acquisition, and CPV, cost per visit. So they had certain goals. They wanted to hit certain cost per acquisition, and they want to hit certain cost per visit. And you are able to do that with Mountain Performance TV. Your campaigns are automatically optimized against the goal that you choose, and the platform is just going to work towards making those goals reached. Now let's look at the performance of Built-in campaign. So they drove 62% lower cost per acquisition compared to their target, so whatever the target was for their CPA. This campaign drove 62% lower cost per acquisition, lower than whatever was their goal. And in terms of conversion rate was 2.4 times higher than their goal, and cost per view was also 57% lower than their target. What's impressive is that everything is really measurable, and you're able to quickly see the performance of your campaign. What works really well for Built-in was their sophisticated audience targeting. They had to reach certain B2B audiences on TV, and they could go really granular by industry type and by profession, and getting their campaign in front of those HR professionals that they wanted to reach. And they were able to also easily manage multiple campaigns with various audience targeting. So they could launch a separate campaign for retargeting. They could retarget their website visitors with TV campaign, which is really cool. They could do a campaign dedicated to certain profession. They could do matched audience campaign the same way that we do matched audience campaign on LinkedIn. So they were able to have multiple campaigns with multiple audiences within each campaign. And also, as we mentioned, Mountain Performance TV auto-optimized the delivery of campaign against those audiences based on the goals and the KPIs that works best for you. You just, as you create your campaign, you choose your goals, you choose those KPIs, and then those campaigns are working towards making those goals happen based on the budget that you have. I think I am ready to pass it to Ali to have his thoughts on some of these two campaigns. Before doing that, I just wanted my last point about these two case studies are that at the end of the day, as marketers, we always make a bet. Any marketing channel that we choose, any marketing tactic that we decide to go with, or who even to partner with, it's always a bet. It can go wrong or it can go right. Streaming TV advertising is a bet that you will be comfortable making, because there is a very limited risk by going live on a streaming TV with a streaming TV. The reason is that because the audience targeting is spot on. You reach the audience that you want. So there is no guesswork. You take the guesswork out of your audience targeting. And everything is measurable on a third-party analytics software like Google Analytics. So there is a really limited risk, and it's a bet that most often drives outsized return for the marketers that we have worked with closely. Ali, I would love to pass it to you for some of your thoughts about these two case studies and also for today's key takeaways.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hooman. Just a couple of observations as a B2B marketer myself. First, looking at the Bolt case study, Hooman mentioned something that I want to kind of reiterate, which is in B2B marketing, we're not beholden to seriousness. The creative that Bolt is using on the platform, it's humorous. And you know what? That's okay as a B2B brand to be that way, because your target prospects, sure, they're serious when they're at work, but they're certainly human. And they like to be entertained, and they like to laugh as well. And so I think the Bolt creative was a great example of really kind of, towing the line between making sure you're still conveying what the product is and why it's great, while also being a little bit lighthearted as well. So I thought that was quite effective, and that's something that we do as a brand at Mountain as well with our own creative. The observation about built-in as a marketer is, I think that's a great example. It serves as a great example of showing how much connected TV has come along as a performance marketing channel. Here you have this two-sided marketplace where on one side you want to court employers, on another side you want to court job applicants. And just like any other performance marketing channel, you can meet these diverse goals with different campaigns and different targeting in these different campaigns and different creative and so on. You can segment based off of a site pixel differently, based off of the different audiences that you have on your website. And so you don't need to treat CTV with kitty gloves here. This is a performance marketing channel, just like the others, and it has largely has feature parity with the other channels that performance marketers are using. And so I thought that was a great illustration of being able to use television as we do other performance marketing channels. Finally, just kind of looking at some takeaways, we're really kind of reiterating some points that we made a few times here already, which is first, I want to get back to this point of CTV as a differentiator. In an environment where we as B2B marketers, we are all working out of the same playbook, what are you doing to distance yourself from your competitors? Everyone's on paid search, everyone's on LinkedIn, we're all doing the same things, we're all promoting the same assets even. What are you doing to differentiate in this space? And certainly being able to do television advertising as a B2B brand, no matter the size, is certainly a way to have that differentiation. Second, and Hooman mentioned this, there are really slick ways to get your TV creative. You don't need a really expensive, big engagement with a creative agency to achieve this. QuickFrame was a great example of this. QuickFrame is a marketplace that's inclusive of motion graphics artists, video editors, full-blown TV commercial directors, and everything in between. Works with people of all different types of budgets to be able to accommodate them. I've seen a lot of B2B brands get a ton of creative from QuickFrame, not just for their actual TV creative, but also just product marketing teams using QuickFrame to create explainer videos on their product pages on their website or what have you. So there's some really innovative ways to get around that. And finally, this goes back to this recurring theme of treat this like a performance marketing channel. this is a metrics-laden platform. It's built for you to analyze the performance and to hit your goals, just as you'd expect from the other channels that you work with. So really kind of asking marketers to reorient their understanding of television advertising, and in this case, think of it as something that can be highly measurable and also help hit goals. And that's our presentation. And so I think now we're going to just shift over to Q&A.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for that great presentation. You sparked some great questions, but before I get to those, I would just like to remind everyone once again to please share your thoughts and feedback before logging on today. You can do so by clicking the survey icon at the bottom of your screen. The survey will also automatically launch when this session ends. So with that, let's get to those questions. So the first question I'm going to grab is, I have a limited ad budget, so do you have a recommendation for what platform I should pull budget from to test CTV?
I would love to, Ali, I would love to take that question because I have a strong opinion in this one. And I started my career as a digital marketer with a really limited budget. So let me
and you're the one who manages our TV budget now too.
Appreciate that. So obviously, I don't know. I'm not familiar with the channel mix or budget allocation of the person who's asking this question, but because I'm familiar with what's happening at large at B2B marketing and advertising, my guess is that you are over relying on a channel like paid search. A lot of B2B marketers that I talk to, when I ask them what do you do, they say I do demand gen. I do demand generation. And when we get a little bit deeper into the conversation, when we get to the budget conversation, we realize that they're spending like 95%, 90% of their ad dollars on paid search, which is not really a channel to create and generate demand. Paid search is a perfect channel to capture the existing demand. Whoever is already familiar with you as a solution provider, or whoever is familiar with what problem they want to solve and they're in market, they go on Google and other search engines, they search for that, and based on that, your ads is going to be shown and you're going to capture that. But that has nothing to do with creating demand or generating demand. That's just capturing demand. All of us as B2B marketers should always run paid search. Please don't get me wrong. This is not a pitch against paid search. This is not a suggestion or advice that you should not do paid search. The problem is that marketers are overdoing it, and they're over reliant on paid search, and they don't really take the time to look at the keyword or search term analysis. What type of keywords or search terms are driving traffic to their website? Are they really converting, or are they just costing them money from some people that are searching for some maybe not really relevant search terms? So I would like to invite everybody to take a look at your search term and keyword report, and I bet you will be able to find enough room to test a new channel like a streaming TV advertising by just shifting a little bit of money from those channels. And between capturing the existing demand and creating new demand, I think you need to find a balance. What's the balance? Is it 50-50? Is it 40-60? It's different case by case, but what's happening today at large is that 5% demand gen, 95% capturing demand. It should be different, because it's usually 5 to 2% of the people of your total addressable market is in market. The bigger opportunity is that those people who are not familiar with you, and that I believe that's where you should invest most of your ad dollars.
And then
I don't know, Ali, if you
question...
want to add anything. Oh, all right, let's go. Let's go to the next one. Okay.
What could I add to that? That was so thorough. Like I couldn't add anything meaningful to that. Let's just move on to the next one.
Appreciate it.
All right, perfect. So the next question that I am going to grab is, I have both a B2B and B2C audience. Can I use CTV for both?
I'll take this one, Hooman. Yeah, I should say, you know, even though this presentation is framed around B2B marketing success, the majority of our platform is actually B2C marketers that are using it. So definitely, if you have B2C goals as a marketer, then Connected TV is far more than just arrived for you. It's quite effective for advertisers in that world. The first things that kind of come to mind there are just the, you know, tens of thousands of audience segments that are available to people who are targeting B2C audiences. And so you could certainly do that and realize a ton of success on that side of it. And like we talked about before with regards to built-in, you know, you can just run multiple campaigns that are hitting your different audiences, driving sort of different performance for these different strategies that you have. So yeah, no doubt you can run campaigns for both, and especially on the B2C side, you're going to be really pleasantly surprised because so many B2C advertisers are using that today. So not a problem at all. You should do quite well.
All right, perfect. And now someone else is wondering, what do you recommend if I don't have a big budget for producing video creative? I don't have the budget to include a celebrity.
I'll take that, and Hooman, if you want to add to that, I think you've got a good perspective on this too. We talked at length about solutions like QuickFrame, which I think really is a silver bullet for a lot of B2B marketing teams. And beyond just the use case of TV advertising, just procuring any sort of video creative need that you have. I want to talk about the last part of that question with regards to, I don't have a celebrity. That's really not important. And easy to say as the company that has Ryan Reynolds as our chief creative officer, but you really don't need him. We've actually been kind of talking about this at length recently, that we've realized a lot of success on our platform in campaigns that don't directly involve Ryan. And the reason for that is something that should be familiar with all the marketers that are tuned in here, which is just good campaigns, good calls to action, good targeting, all that stuff prevails. You don't need a celebrity. In fact, I think specifically in B2B marketing, it's kind of patronizing to just use like a celebrity endorsement in the way that you see it in B2C advertising. So absolutely not necessary for success. One last note on just this point of just not having a big budget. I kind of caution B2B marketers from some of these like sort of templated video solutions out there where they have like template galleries where you just kind of fill in the text and it allows you to kind of output some sort of video. I'd caution against using things like that on television. And the reason for that is a couple. One is it doesn't really align nicely with the end user experience of sitting on your couch and watching something on television. Those are oftentimes sort of like created and formatted for like web video. And the user experience of sitting on a couch and seeing television commercials between top tier programming, it's quite different. And you don't want to serve up what very clearly looks like a templated video ad on a television. The other thing too is just that those tend to be like really text heavy. Which isn't necessarily a problem, but in the performance that we see of creative on television, those ads don't tend to perform as well. The ones where it's just tons and tons and tons of text that's just animated that someone needs to watch, as opposed to something that has motion graphics or other sorts of interesting visuals that are paired to the message that you're conveying. So I'd caution against some of those platforms where you just kind of get some sort of templated animated text video. So I'd stick to something like QuickFrame if you're really budget conscious and you want something relatively quickly.
All right, perfect. And now the next question I'm going to grab is, what kind of data do I get back from a CTV campaign?
I can take that, and Ali, please add anything if I'm missing here. I bet that the person who's asking is a very hardcore data-driven marketer who cares about a lot of data and measuring and performance. I'm a data-driven marketer too, so happy to respond to that. So you basically get two separate set of data or reporting. One is off of GA, Google Analytics. And I think that's easy to explain what kind of data you get. It's essentially everything that you get in Google Analytics when you look at the performance of all of your digital channels. You get all of that, but now with a different channel, with a different source and medium. The medium is going to be like performance TV or streaming TV, and your source is going to be mountain, or however you define it. It just comes through as a different source and medium. And then whatever you're seeing in your Google Analytics today, you will be able to see that for this new channel that you're launching. And in addition to that, in addition to what's available in Google Analytics, there are a lot of other data points that are really valuable, and that's available in Mountain Performance TV platform. Like all those classic metrics like impressions, users reached, number of visits, cost per user reached, cost per visit, cost per conversion, number of conversions, all of that is available. But you can go beyond that. For example, if you want to see what type of network that your ads has been served on has performed better against certain metrics, all that is available. There are just a ton of metrics available on our platform. I haven't been able to use even all of them or even be familiar with all of them. There's just a ton of data points that can get really granular in terms of your reporting and having more detailed insight about what's working for you. I don't know if I missed anything, Ali. If you want to add anything, or move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
All right, awesome. Next question coming in is, how does a non-agency creative solution work?
Yeah, really in ways that just benefit the end user. And this isn't meant to be bashing creative agencies. We own and operate one, but really the thing with creative agencies are things like retainers and just large financial commitments, lots of review cycles, long cycles to get creative done, and you know, you're going to need a diverse need of creatives too. Like, you wouldn't want to engage with a creative agency for a singular asset. With that sort of commitment of time and money, it's going to be difficult to extract a lot of value out of just a single asset. And so in a non-agency environment with a platform like QuickFrame that we've been talking about, really it's going to be, you know, it could be per engagement. You could certainly go on there and just create a creative brief and get a project done within a week. But really there's also subscription services there too, where you kind of get the best of both worlds. You have the, you know, with regards to a creative agency, you'll have that flexibility of always being able to turn to this platform whenever a creative needs arises, but also not having all the baggage of kind of working with an agency, again, namely the cost of working with one. And some agencies, just the barrier of entry is too high. To work with some agencies I've seen out there, you got to come in at least with like a commitment of $1 million. And that's just not a reality for a lot of B2B marketers to be able to get good creative. A lot of that money is going to be allocated towards actual ad spend. And so that solution is especially conducive to B2B marketers and the needs that they have for video.
All right, awesome. So unfortunately, that is all the time we have for questions today. But if we didn't get to yours live, don't worry, we will follow up with answers via email. So with that, I would like to thank Ali and Hooman for such a great session. And thank you to all of our attendees for taking the time to join us today. We'll have this session ready for on-demand viewing shortly. The link is on this slide, but it will also arrive in your inbox momentarily. Thanks again, everyone, and take care.